That is a 2013 Lexus ES300h. And today, I'm going to show you why it's the best car in the world. Now I know what you're thinking. How can this 11-year-old Lexus that's based on a Camry be the best car in the world? Well, it is. And here's why. And it is indeed the best car in the world for one simple reason. For 11 years and 300,000 miles, this car has never had any engine, drivetrain, any mechanical issue at all. For 300,000 miles, I have gotten in, pressed the button, and it has brought me exactly where I need to go without ever having a single issue with the engine or drivetrain. Now that's not to say that a few things haven't gone wrong. Very oddly, 3 out of the 4 door locks stopped working. Lexus was absolutely baffled by the problem. I brought it to an independent Lexus and Toyota repair place, and they replaced all 3 locks. But listen to this. I took the bill, which was $1,400, sent all 3 locks back to Lexus of America. My car was well out of warranty, and they sent me a check for $1,400. Nice job, Lexus. That's strong work. The only other thing that ever went wrong with this car is the air pressure monitors, and Lexus wanted $600 to replace the air pressure monitors. I simply declined, and now I check my air pressure the old-fashioned way with one of these. The last thing I ever had to have repaired on this car was I ran over something, and it ended up doing some damage to the rear suspension. That was quite an expensive repair. I believe it was about $2,400 to repair the rear suspension, but I haven't had a problem since. And that's it. Those are the only things that have ever gone wrong with this car in 300,000 miles. It's an incredible record of reliability. Sure, you can spend $300,000 on a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley, $250,000 or much more on a Lamborghini or Ferrari. But none of those vehicles are going to get the record of reliability that this car has. You can't even park those cars anywhere. Some influencer is going to jump on your car to take a picture. I once read an article about a guy who owned a Ferrari, and he said that most cars are for getting from point A to point B. He said a Ferrari is from getting point A to point A. You simply can't even park those cars anywhere. They're simply too expensive. Someone's going to ding it, key scratch it. This car is virtually invisible to cops, to everybody. But I think it still looks good. Around the outside of the car, I think for 11 years old, this still looks pretty stylish. I think in some ways, this is better looking than some new cars out there. And yet, it just keeps on going. So now it's confession time. I have not always been nice to this car. I have blown past recommended service intervals. I have blown past oil change intervals. And this car just keeps on driving. I've driven it through 9 Maine winters, and I've taken it on a lot of roads where a 2-wheel drive car had no business being. In fact, some of those roads were 4x4 only. Yet the Lexus just seemed to keep going and make it. I can't understand it. It's like an anomaly. It just keeps on going. So let's talk about the engine. It's got a 4-cylinder, and this is a hybrid, so it's got an electric battery or an electric engine, an electric motor, I should say, helping it out. It only generates a little over 200 horsepower, but I've never really felt like the car was underpowered. Although it's never going to win any races or anything. By modern standards, the 0 to 60 time is around 8 seconds. It's pretty poor. But when it came right down to it, and I put my foot on the gas, and I needed to accelerate into traffic, I always felt like this car did the job. It was enough. It's not a lot, but it's always been enough to get me where I'm going. And for being 11 years old, this car has, well, pretty much everything I need. Heated and cooled seats, air conditioning, a great radio, fantastic speaker system, XM radio built in, satellite navigation, and did I mention an incredible record of 100% reliability? So this is a hybrid. You can see it with the little H there, and this is all in blue because I guess electricity is colored blue, I guess. Anyway, that means this car got phenomenal gas mileage. When I first got the car, it got anywhere between 41 and 42 miles per gallon, basically no matter what I did. Over the years, the gas mileage has dropped down to about 36, sometimes I can get around 38, 39 miles per gallon. No matter how you look at it, that is phenomenally good gas mileage. An incredibly efficient car to drive. And I'm just noticing my first little rust right there. Look at that. There we go. First rust. Now, if you talk to any financial guru, they will tell you that financially, it's a better deal to just keep driving a car. Keep going. As long as it's working, even if you have to repair it, just keep driving it. So that's what I intend to do. This car functionally out on the market right now with 300,000 miles, 11 years old, and maybe in kind of tough shape here, probably is functionally worth $500, maybe $1,000, I'm not sure. But it is invaluable to me simply because I know that this car will keep going. It just keeps going, no matter what. And I love that. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for the condition of my trunk, but let's take a look. I always felt like the trunk in this car was perfectly sized. Big enough, but not huge. Now you cannot push down the seats because that's where the hybrid battery is, but you can see I've got a lot of junk and stuff in here. I've also got a lot of stuff for roadside fixes for when my car might break down. But it never broke down, not once, in 11 years and 300,000 miles. So I've been dragging around roadside stuff in case my car breaks down for 11 years now. I just thought I would take a minute to show the back seat of the car. This is where my dog Bagel lives. The seats are all the way back, but you can see there's still plenty of leg room here. I've had 4 adults in this car, no problem. So when I bought this car, the expected lifespan of a hybrid was about 10 years or 250,000 miles. I have blown past both of those figures and the car continues to go strong. However, I must be in some way reaching the limit of how far or how long the hybrid battery will last. So eventually I'll get a little warning light on my dash that the hybrid battery has basically lost power. Now I don't know if it loses power gradually or if it just stops or if it just bricks the car. I'm not sure how that works. So if somebody knows, put it in the comments. But that hybrid battery is gonna give out probably sooner than later. The other thing that's happened just recently with this car is that I went to accelerate a few times and I just sort of felt like the transmission was slipping a little bit. Now this car does not have a traditional transmission. It has what's called a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. Basically meaning it kind of just has one gear with some fancy things in it to sort of change the size of those gears. And I was just pressing on the gas and I just wasn't really going anywhere. So maybe the CVT is about to die. And replacing or repairing a continuously variable transmission runs anywhere between $3,500 and up to about $6,000. So hopefully we are not approaching the end of this car. However, it is certainly possible. Now, I've always named my cars, and I named this car R2-D2 because this car beeps at you a lot. I know modern cars beep about everything, but my car beeps every single time I get out of the car because I have a tendency to go from drive into park, and then I will open up the door one fraction of a second before I turn the car off. Meaning that every single time I get out of the car, it beeps. It always beeps. Every single time I get out of the car. Let's look at that again. We're in drive. Oh, it's beeping for the seatbelt, of course. Let's make that stop. And when you go into park, your left hand is free. It's gonna grab that door handle one single fraction of a second before it turns off. So for 300,000 miles, every single time I've gotten out of this car, it beeps. So let's talk a few oddities of this car. It has a normal key fob, just like everybody else, lock, unlock, the trunk, and an emergency panic button. There is a physical key inside here. Let's press it. There's a physical key, and you can use this physical key to open the door on the outside. There is a regular old-fashioned key lock there. But once you are inside this car, there is no physical way to start the car. There's no emergency key placement that will start this car. The only way to start this car is with the key fob and to press the button. I kind of wish there was sort of an emergency backup, because if the battery in your key fob is dead, there is no way to start this car. I wish in an emergency there was a way to do it. I do keep some battery backups, which I can't seem to find right now, but I've had some batteries, maybe it's in the glove box, just in case I ever got back to the car for whatever reason. I could physically get in the car, but then I would have to replace the battery in the fob to start the car. One thing I would love to see on this car is the ability to put down all four windows in one shot. I know some cars can do this. You can like hold the unlock button and all four windows will go down. I'm in Florida and the car's 160 degrees sometimes inside. When you're walking up to it, putting all four windows down at once, even if it's 3 or 4 seconds before you get in the car, would be very helpful. That'd be a nice feature, not in 2013. So I'm kind of married to this car at this point. It has no value out in the market, but it's tremendously valuable to me. So I don't want a new car. I kind of want this one to keep going, but I kind of know it's not going to go forever. So I do have a couple of cars I have been thinking about. And in another video, let's talk about possible replacements for this car.